Hey everybody, Jake Wiskerson back with you again on the podcast. Yet again, we find ourselves in a position of being very humbled by our listening audience's continued support and listenership, honestly. It's, I've said it before, but it's always flattering that when, people listen to this stuff, they share it around, and we encourage you to do that. So, feel free to subscribe. Also, check out our sponsors, namely Zephyr Wellness, which is the company that I co-own in Northern Nevada. And specifically, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm going to start putting out some more content here shortly, and we're going to cover some topics that are unique to the profession, but also are useful for people who just want self-help. I've found that in my experience, teaching the concepts and theories that I learned in grad school helps people to apply them in their own lives, and I'm going to make a concerted effort this coming year to do a lot more of that kind of thing. So maybe speaking it into existence by committing myself verbally to you guys will force me to do it, because I've been talking about it for a while. But now I'm actually getting serious. So zephyrwellness.org, the YouTube channel, the Instagram account for sure, and then Facebook and Twitter, of course, also. And then Audible. Audible has been kind enough to sponsor some of our shows, and if you want, you can check out audibletrial.com/noggin notes for a free 30-day trial. You get a download with your free 30-day trial that you get to keep even if you cancel the trial, but you probably won't, because Audible's got such an incredible inventory that you're gonna lose yourself in it, I'm sure. audibletrial.com/noggin notes, free 30-day trial, free audio download, and keep it even if you cancel. As for this show, I'm interviewing a friend and colleague, Brighid Fronapfel, and her colleague and associate, Molly Halligan. And there are two behaviorists, I guess you could say behavior scientists, if you will. They work in the realm of helping modify people's behaviors, and specifically with children. But I think a lot of times we have this misunderstanding that behaviorism only equates to autism treatment, and that's not at all true, as you'll discover in our interview. But the gals were super, helpful in making this happen, and I'm grateful to their assistance, because I've wanted to talk about the science of behavior for quite some time, and now we are. So I hope you find it interesting, and like usual, please feel free to share around. Have a wonderful 2021. Happy New Year. Well, today's episode, we are joined by Molly Halligan and Brighid Fronapfel. How are you both?
Good. How are you?
don't all speak at once. I know it's a little different. We have a person live in studio, COVID-free, and a person on the camera down in Las Vegas, also COVID-free. But Molly's in Vegas, Brighid's up here, and we're going to talk about behaviorism today. I think a lot of people are interested to know how that discipline functions. So I'll just kick it off and go to Molly. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us, who you are and what hood you rep and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So my name's Molly Halligan. I have a master's degree in psychology with an emphasis on behavior analysis. I'm a licensed behavior analyst in the state of Nevada, and I'm also board certified nationally. I work for Central Reach, and I also own the Las Vegas Autism Center.
Oh, you
Las
own
Vegas.
That. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. That I did not realize. I just thought you directed it or managed it, which you do, but I didn't realize you were.
I consult with it at this point, but yeah.
Good for you. And Brighid, who are you?
I'm Brighid Fronapfel. I'm also a board certified behavior analyst and licensed behavior analyst here in the state of Nevada. I have a doctorate in philosophy with an emphasis on behavior analysis, with some work in the clinical realm too. So the difference is very clear to me. And I currently work at UNR. I am faculty there. I teach courses, supervise students, and a lot of other fun projects on the side as assigned.
UNR being the acronym for the University of Nevada, Reno, for people who aren't from the Northern Nevada area. So you're a university professor, we got an agency owner. Both of you are in this field called behaviorism. Let's kick this off by asking, and you guys can just I don't know if you want to Rochambeau for it or what, but ask why does this field exist? What's its primary function?
Bridge, do you want to take that?
I was going to offer it to you, but it's funny that you're talking about function, right? Because that's exactly where we would go.
Yeah.
And so behavior analysis really is the science of behavior. We actually call it behavior analysis, behaviorism. So, but what we look at is really the environment and its impact on behavior, right? So we look at what's going on in the current context and how that's impacting behavior, which really derives and gets us down to the function. And that's where we say why, individuals or folks, children, whoever it is that we're working with, why they do essentially what they do. So are they engaging in problem behavior to gain access to an iPad or for attention from their parents? I'm assuming everybody has witnessed the child in the candy aisle at the grocery store. It's a perfect example, right? Throwing their little fit to gain access to candy. So that's kind of the things that we would be talking about, right? What's going on in that context? What's present in that candy aisle? How is the parent responding or the other individuals that are around that child to encourage or sustain that behavior? Of course, we look at other forms of behavior too, not just throwing tantrums in a grocery store, which of course we all see. Molly, do you have anything to add?
I think that's pretty much sums it up. We do work with people in all realms of life because we're looking at what's happening in the natural environment.
And I think oftentimes folks link us to autism, developmental disabilities, that sort of thing. But we actually do have behavior analysts working across many different disciplines. From NASA, we have one that consults with NASA. There's a behavior analyst down at, I'm going to get the term wrong, I think it's the Animal Kingdom or Disney Kingdom, whatever it is in Orlando. But she actually works on environmental enrichment down there to make the exhibits more exciting for spectators. There are some that work, I'm specifically thinking, Molly, of the guy that works for BP in safety following that, outrageous.
Yep. He's in charge of helping support safety measures at oil rigs in the middle of the ocean.
So kind of a wide spectrum of things that we dabble in, but. Yeah.
I did not unmute myself. Apparently this is my first time doing this. Actually, if you want to move that pop shield out of your way, you don't have to have that there. You can just flexes around there. You can pull the mic a little closer. I think you were clipping a little bit. People are listening. They're like, what are you doing, Jake? This sounds like you've done this before, like 150 times. Why is this hard? It's because we have new equipment, and I'm trying to be a professional, but actually being very amateurish in my approach. But that's why we ask our friends in, so they're a little more forgiving. And to the audience, if you're disappointed, hey, you get what you pay for. It's a free podcast. I did not know that all those things existed, because I also had linked behaviorism almost exclusively as a profession, almost exclusively to children, adolescents, folks struggling with autism, and the intellectually disabled. And so I guess on some level, I always thought that people who run corporations and, need folks that they manage to behave in certain ways would benefit from this. And probably there's some infusion of this science that goes into coaching and consultation, that sort of thing. But I never really thought that a career as a board certified behavioral analyst could be working for BP or the zoo. That's really fascinating. And I'd love to hear more about it, because if people are listening to this, and I know we have some younger folks in our audience, they are thinking about careers in this field. And I think a lot of what they see is talk therapy in the office for sure. But that's like, I don't know, 10% of behavioral health. It's not much. Because there's medicine and there's psychology and research. And now I'm realizing now that like there could be a real wealth of opportunity helping management, get its employees to perform better. So please dive into that if you would. I'd love to hear more about that, just from my own curiosity's sake, but also from the listening audience perspective.
So that's organizational business management, but I'm going to defer that one to Molly.
Yeah, I definitely am an amateur in that area, in that I didn't get specific training outside of our general breadth of training at UNR, which I also went to University of Nevada, Reno as well. That's where I got my master's degree. But yeah, OBM is an amazing branch of behavior analysis, and those that practice it do go into different organizations and help set up the organization, set up systems so that everything flows better. So it's all based on the systems that you're looking at. So whether it's systems on how to structure your, computer systems to make your employees be able to work effortlessly, or to identify how to or set people up to be able to create job descriptions, things like that, to be able to get people to do their jobs well. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Can you think of specific roles that someone would do? Like what are you asked to do when you come in? Say you're this behavior analyst person who comes into an organization. What's the task? Is it always process improvement or?
Yeah, I to my knowledge, my friends that do this, Shane Isley is a brilliant behavior analyst that does OBM work. And actually the Applied Behavior Analysis Board actually contracted with him to help them set up job descriptions. And I'm not sure if there was other things that they were setting up there. But he has a branch with, I believe, Jennifer Bono, that they go through the country and support organizations that primarily are servicing individuals that, like children with autism and things like that right now. But they help them set up their job descriptions, their structures, just their employee hierarchy, things like that. So that way organizations can run without any hiccups. And another thing that they might work on is maybe reinforcement systems or incentive systems for employees, because we can only pay our employees what we are able to pay them within this industry, and so incentive systems are going to be really valuable, things like that. I don't know, Bridge, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, I'm glad you brought up the reinforcement, because I was going to talk about that too.
She was nodding vigorously.
Yeah. But really focusing on job satisfaction and morale, and those systems are set up to, that's one of what we would call like an output, right? Something that's coming out of that system is positive work environment. And so they really focus heavily on that too.
So those jackets that I had embroidered for the Zephyr employees for Christmas presents, that's a good thing.
Well, as long as they find them reinforcing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if they find them off-putting, maybe they don't want to come back the next year. What are some things, if people are listening, they're like, oh, I have an organization, I don't know if I can hire somebody necessarily and put them on payroll to come and consult. What are some quick tips and strategies that might be those positive behavioral reinforcers, if I'm using the terminology correctly, that they might implement that maybe they didn't think of? That, if you don't have a full-blown HR department, or you lack the resources for the full consultation, what are some tips and hints to help people work better and make Earth go around a little smoother?
I think for my perspective, the first step is to make sure that your organization is set up in an organized fashion so that everybody knows what their jobs are and what their expectations are. And that should be in writing, and everybody should be made aware of those things. So kind of business 101 for a lot of people, but that's what it comes down to, and it's very detailed. And then once that is clear, so all those job expectations are clear, everybody knows what to expect from everybody around them, then you could do things like reinforcer surveys. You can ensure that you are rewarding your staff or your employees. You can put incentives in place to ensure that they are rewarding each other. But you really want to make sure that you're getting as much input from your staff as possible. So it shouldn't be a manager coming in and, like your example with the jackets. Yeah, those might be a great idea, but you have no idea. Maybe somebody has a million jackets and they hate wearing them in the winter. So you want to make sure that somebody comes in and actually gets the input from the people that they're trying to deliver reinforcers to make sure they're functional.
Buyer's remorse here, Molly, but thank you for that. Yeah, I joked with Lindsay, our co-owner here at Zephyr. I joked with her yesterday, actually, about something that went down, and we were texting back and forth, and I said, "Hey, look at that! It almost looks like we know what we're doing running a business. It only took us 6 years," and it was half tongue in cheek. But to your point about the organizational, like the flow chart and the job descriptions, like we just didn't have that for the first couple of years. We had it, but it wasn't good. And it didn't mean much. And she and I were role conflicted a lot, just kind of stepping in each other's turf. And unfortunately that sends mixed signals to the employees, right? They're like, okay, so we know that Lindsay runs ops and Jake does clinical, but I have a question that sort of doesn't fall into either camp. Who do I go to? And it became this weird hierarchical structural